The most ancient martial art weapon used in every culture that has ever existed has been the club. Even on today's modern battlefields and streets, the most commonly used implement remains the club, be it a PR-24 telescopic baton, rifle butt, or just some burly 2x4 picked off the street. But the club has been used for more than just combat effectiveness. It's been used as a means of physical preparedness. Every culture in existence has used some type of club exercises for building physical health and strength. Not many people know the history of the dumbbell. In ancient Greece, some bright chap came along, took a musical bell, filled the clapper end, and started to swing that implement for muscular girth. A friend of his, observing, decided to come up with the bright idea of attaching two of those pieces together, effectively developing the first dumbbell, dumb meaning not sounding, bell. But before that dumbbell, there was the club. Russian, Iranian, and Indian wrestlers and strongmen have used club swinging exercises to develop combat-specific strength for centuries, and as a result have dominated fighting sports internationally. If you think about the difference between dumbbell, barbell, and even to a degree kettlebell training, they develop what will later be made as a distinction, linear strength training, whereas club, and with the modern implement, the club bell, develops circular strength training. As we said later in the program, this will become readily apparent. Old-time strongmen, turn of the last century, had many different variations on this piece of equipment, be it the Thor's hammer, the Weaver stick, the fulcrum bar, or even something as pedestrian as the sledgehammer. Each of these traditions were used for developing circular strength training. American and British militaries, here we are at the turn of the last century, implemented club swinging exercises into their physical training doctrine. And why did they do that? Because of the implications of specificity, specific physical preparedness. As opposed to the general physical preparedness available through dumbbell, barbell, and kettlebell training, club bell training develops specific physical preparedness. Those of you in professional and amateur sports know full well that the power generation for throwing sports, racket sports, all develop early in the range of motion. A strength that cannot be gained through conventional training methods. With the club bell, as we'll see, this is a unique opportunity to develop circular strength. Olympic club bell swinging found its hallmark during 1904 when it was included into the Olympic Games and lasted until 1932 in Los Angeles. In 1983, the Iron Sheik, world champion pro wrestler in Georgia, USA, demonstrated the $5,000 Iranian club swinging challenge when he hefted 75-pound clubs above his head, a challenge that is yet to be answered. Club bell swinging is not for the faint of heart. It's only for those would-be strong men and women that wish to go beyond mediocre strength and development and be able to pulverize stone into paste with their crushing grip. If you're up for the club bell swinging challenge, join the club. Basic operations begin with how you approach the club bell. If you notice, the club bells are now arranged in floor parked position. This is where you begin and end each exercise, parked on the floor. Never hand the Clubbell to someone and never accept the Clubbell handed to you. It's dangerous. Clubbells offer no mercy to those who use them correctly. It will give you amazing strength gains. However, Clubbells offer no pity for those that don't obey how they should be implemented. When you grasp the Clubbell, first insert your hand through the safety strap, curl your fingers around, and slide your hand to the position where you'll be using it in the exercise. You'll move it from the floor park position to one of the next 4 park positions. But first, where you grab the Clubbell determines the amount of resistance you're going to feel in your arm and throughout the rest of your body. When you're first learning an exercise, choke up. By doing so, you're decreasing the perceived weight and the leverage that's being placed upon you. As you become more skillful and your strength increases and your endurance increases, you can choke downward. Make sure that your grip strength is never exceeded in an exercise. So whenever you feel weak or whenever it's a new exercise, choke up. Learn the exercise first. Next, the safety strap is designed in a specific way. It's designed to, in cases of emergency, slow down the Clubbell from property damage. So first clue is, don't practice your Clubbell swinging in front of the television or anything breakable or any persons. To engage the safety strap, if you have to bail out of an exercise and you have to drop the Clubbell, you need to keep your hand straight. By keeping your hand straight and your finger straight, you don't engage the safety strap. This will protect you from snaring your wrist. However, if you're needing to prevent the Clubbell from breaking anything and you want to slow it down, to engage the safety strap, curl your wrist, curl your fingers to catch it. Once again, use discretion and common sense. This can be a lethal implement and has been used as a lethal implement for centuries, the club. The Clubbell is for physical preparation. As a result, use it wisely. The next park position is called bringing it to order. In order, you're balancing it directly upwards with your elbow pinched and your wrist straight, not with your wrist curled and your elbow out. This applies too much stress on your shoulder. Keep your elbow pinched, your wrist straight, and perpendicular to the floor, lift the Clubbell. In the chest park position, drop the Clubbell against your chest and project the ball downwards. Don't hit yourself with the Clubbell. Eccentrically break or yield the motion so you gently place it upon your pec, your muscle, your soft tissue. Not in your clavicle, not in your AC joint, not on your neck. Slowly park it on your soft tissue. Chest park position. Shoulder park position is on your trap. Soft tissue, not on your AC joint, not on this bony profile. Don't club yourself in the jaw or in the ear. Slowly break the motion, slow it down, and place it into position. Lift the ball higher than before to rest it balanced. The final park position is just an elbow stop, or called an arm slap. In the elbow stop, just catch it in your elbow pit, make sure no bony profiles are protruding. Catch it, rest it between your hands so that it's balanced. When you go to end an exercise, always bring it back to floor park position. You do so without jerking. So in an elbow stop, you swing it before placing it on the ground. Once down here, to begin any swing, I'll tell you this now, don't heft it. See how the wrist is turned inwards? To begin a swing, rotate your wrist, which will rotate your forearm and rotate your upper arm. This begins the swing. When you're first learning an exercise, do this 3 times before engaging the swing. Notice that the knees are bent, weight's on the heels, the back is straight, and the head's looking up. Practice this a few times. Once you turn off the VCR and move away from the television. And then we'll move into the next exercise, the beginning exercise, the basic arm swing. The Basic arm swing is the staple of the would-be strongman's diet. Get this exercise correct before you progress on to any other of the exercises. Remember to approach the club bells in forward park position. Insert your hands in the safety straps. Keep your weight on your heels, your back flat, your knees bent. Begin by 3 swings like we worked earlier. Now, when you swing, make sure that it's the hips that cause the action. So, lock out the hips, pull up the kneecaps, meaning contract your quads. Make sure that your breath matches your movement. So, exhale on the effort. This is just the basic motion. Make sure that it's you pressing the earth away from you in order to swing the clubs. Don't make it such an arm ballast movement. Now, next I'm going to demonstrate 3 different heights. First, a low swing, middle swing, and at its height, you should end up perpendicular to the floor. Make sure that you give yourself a training environment that 3 feet from the extension of your hand, there's nothing that can be touched. So, when you park them, rotate your elbows, put them in position, and then stand up and conclude your exercise. Your first clean will bring the club bell to order. Once again, engage the club bell, safety strap, grab the neck appropriately, weight on your heels, back straight. When you project the club bell upwards, hip action, knees, breath. This time, push the neck underneath. This should be caught on a dime. It's disengaged fluidly. There should be no jerks in the motion, not jerking out at the joints. This is the inappropriate way to do it. I'm even exaggerating. It should be one smooth motion. When standing, your back should never be pushed over arch. Keep your back flat, keep the club bell perpendicular to the ground, keep your elbow pinched or wrist straight. Also, when holding in order, never more than 3 to 4 seconds. Any longer, any above 5 seconds with this type of resistance, and you're endangering tissue damage. So when in order, pause, no longer than 3 to 4 seconds. In your next exercise, take both club bells, clean them to order. And then park them appropriately before continuing forward. Pre-swing cleans are grueling for the simple fact that you're robbing yourself of inertia and tearing the club bells off the floor with your grip. When you grab a hold of the club bell, this time, when you arch, you're going to fire the club bell from parked position up into order. This is officially a pull. Remember all of the cues from before. Fire up, hip action, bend the knees, and absorb the blow, the ballistic shock, to finish in order. When you're doing pre-swing cleans, make sure that you have ample strength. Do these early in your workout. And rip the club bells off the floor. The snatch is the official exercise of Indian strongmen, none more famous than the great Gama, who would heft an 80-pound scepter above his head. With the Clubbell, the snatch is a combination of a swing and a clean. Your job is to get enough propulsion pushing off the ground to heft it into the first type of snatch called the torch. You'll see why it's appropriately named. You want to stop the snatch on a dime and park it appropriately. The double Clubbell snatch is very difficult for keeping the Clubbells parallel. Remember, use the same protocol of 3 to 4 seconds. Never exceed 5 seconds in an isometric hold with Clubbells. There's a variation that's gruesome. The leverage snatch. When you fire the Clubbell up, you're going to let it tip so that the heavy end is extending over your back, and you're going to crush grip it like you're pulverizing granite in your hand. Engage. 3 to 4 seconds. And then park it. Make sure you have ample room to perform the snatch. The extended snatch is for the advanced Clubbell swinger. Make sure you have a very solid platform. This is for demonstration purposes only. Wait until you have personalized instruction before continuing on to such an advanced exercise. Probably, Dostoevsky meant love your suffering when he was referring to the extended snatch. The depth of the exercise gives an incredible amount of propulsion. So your snatch continues upwards into torch or leverage by pressing down onto the block. And if you're feeling burly, double leverage snatch. Park them and amuse your neighbors. When Nietzsche said great pain is a great deliverer, he may have been referring to this pre-swing snatch with the Clubbells. In order to perform this exercise, you need to push yourself off of the earth so much that you would knock it out of orbit. Everything coming from your heels. There's no inertia in it. So when you propel yourself from the ground, push straight, hip action. Your breath should be an inhale, a hold, and then an exhale as you go through the motion. If you're feeling burly, try a pre-swing snatch with a leverage hold. Park them and tout your glory. Your first press will be similar to the torch snatch in that first you'll clean the Clubbell and then you're going to move up into torch position. So you're in order. Once in order, you're going to rotate the Clubbell, contract your abs, that will protect your back, and exhale on the way up until you lock out. Put your hips underneath the Clubbell. Clean it again and go for your press. Now, when you move to 2, you have to ensure that they're close enough that your hips are involved in the action. You need to keep your shoulders down in order to do that. If you look upwards, if you extend your shoulder here, you're not going to get the full range of motion as if you keep your shoulder down. So contract your abs, bring them to order, extend them, keep your shoulders down, tighten up your buttocks, and park them. Order. Press. Keep your shoulders down, park them. That's your torch press. Now, to become a true knuckle dragger, we're going to add leverage in the next exercises. The novice approaches the forward leverage press with fear and trembling because he does not understand the difference between a press and a curl or an extension. It remains a press. First, clean your Clubbell to order, then bring it down into shoulder park. Now, this is still a press. If you take your Clubbell and try and curl it from here, you'll cause an extreme amount of duress on your wrist. The job is to press. So as you're pressing upwards at an angle and extending your arm forward. Contract your abs, tuck in your butt, lock your knees. That'll protect your back. Inhale and press outward with your exhalation. Keep your elbow in when you bring it back into park. Don't lay it on your clavicle and don't hit your AC joint. Then park it. Remember, this is a pressed, not a curl. Don't try and extend from the wrist. Keep your wrist fixed to your forearm and push up the neck as you extend outwards. Lock your body, pinch in your abs, and complete the exercise. The lateral leverage press is extremely more challenging than the forward because of the pressure away from your body. You feel like you can't recruit the same amount of muscles, though you can. The actions involved are similar. Get the hips underneath, tense the butt, tense the abs, that'll protect your lower back. Get a solid core, grip into the ground with your toes. Engage the Clubbell, park it on your shoulder, now rotate it out until your elbow is free. Notice how your elbow stays in line with your shoulder. When you press upwards, just like the forward leverage press, press up the neck. Inhale, hold your breath, contract. Bring it back. And then park it. Remember, everything in your body has to act as a unit in order to accomplish this exercise. It's one of the most grueling you'll ever face. The pendulum is the staple of your swings. It's the most basic swing, and it's the one that you'll always return to. The pendulum begins and ends in order. So clean to order. I'm going to give you an angle. The forward-backward pendulum has a drift. You launch it forward, catch it in free fall, and bring it back. Make sure that you're catching it on a dime and keep all of the protocol from before. Weight on heels, back straight, lock out the hip action, and your respiration. The inward-outward pendulum lends difficulty because of the deviation from your typical arm motion. Outward goes away from your center line. Inward goes through it. Make sure that you're catching it in your pelvis. Absorb the shock of coming downward as you bring it back into order. Park it before beginning the next exercise. To make it gruesome, add double club bells. Make sure you have ample room to perform the exercise. Clean them to order. Then you begin. Forward, backward. Then inward, outward. Remember, catch. Absorb with your knees. Then park when you're finished before continuing forward. Alternating the pendulum adds new depth to this feat of strength. When you have both club bells in hand, one at a time, begin with the forward, backward. This requires a great degree of skill and agility in order to switch from one to the next while maintaining. When you alternate inside, outside, inward, outward, park them. You have the opportunity to be able to handle complex skills simultaneously. The coordination and agility involved in alternating pendulums requires that this be an advanced exercise. Wait, practice the basic pendulum, and get that down pat first. Begin the club bell death march by adding in a lunge and a sidestep to your pendulum. Start with one club bell until you can develop the skill. Clean it to order. Lunge with the opposite leg as you begin your back swing of the basic arm swing. And catch it in the lunge. Retrieve it and cast backwards. Exhale into form and catch the club bell on a dime. Now, once you have advanced in that skill, pick up both club bells, clear the area of any friendlies, and step forward from order. And park them. Now, sidestepping is going to require as much dedication, coordination, and agility as the lunge. The skill involved is an outward pendulum. Clean it. Begin your outward pendulum and catch yourself by coming back into an inward pendulum. Cast it, catch it, and return. Cast it, catch it, and return. The depth of your sidestep determines how quickly along the death march you go. Circles differ from pendulums in that they begin from a snatch or a press rather than from clean to order. When you're doing circles, realize that your grip strength will fatigue very quickly. So park the club bells at any time that you feel your grip starting to fade. It's very important, not just for your muscularity, because you never go to failure, but also because of the safety of your physical form and anything and anyone in the vicinity. The first circle you achieve by first snatching or pressing to full extension. The forward circle drifts forward and cleans along the plane parallel to your body. The backward circle is just the same. Once again, snatch your clean and then press. Drop it back. And bring it back into a park position. Your swings are the greatest expanse of your motion, so it's going to consume the most amount of your energy. Be careful with these. Make sure that, just like we talked about in the basic operations, that there's no jerks in the motion. It should be on the protocol of slow and smooth. Your inward-outward circles, snatch or clean press, inward should stay along your body, perpendicular to the previous exercise. When you move outward, ensure that you have a proper grasp, re-grab, cleaner press. Once again, start to the outward side of the body. Inward, outward continues all the way around. Once again, I can't impress upon you enough. Your grip strength is the most important part of any of the exercises. If you have an exercise that exceeds your grip strength, it's time to park the clubbells immediately. Circles will terrorize your muscles. They're the most grueling exercise for complete circular strength training. The wrist cast is a grueling exercise, one that was popularized in the turn of the century by a George Jouet with his fulcrum bar. But done with a clubbell, it's going to be much more gruesome. Park your clubbell right on your bicep. From this position, curl it to order. Gently lay it back down, then do it again. Continue to do it to the last rep before failure. Do not fail with this type of exercise. And this would be the type of exercise that you would do at the end of your workout, because if you're going to burn out your grip strength, do it at the end, not when you're doing any type of ballistic swing, when you can make this a guided missile into your neighbor's house. If you want to add horsepower to your pitch or miles to your overhand, the armpit cast is ideally suited for you. Power generation in throwing or racket sports begins in the back. There's no other exercise and no other device that will specifically achieve this than the clubbell arm cast. When you begin the armpit cast, bring it to order, rest it in shoulder park. Get familiar with the exercise by bringing your elbow inside and directly back. You want to make sure that your abs are tight, that your elbow does not come outwards. Elbows inwards, clubbells behind you. You have your glutes maximally contracted. Exhale, tighten, and cast forward into order. Now, when the armpit cast is done correctly, you're giving yourself a safety valve because you're moving just slightly out of the range of motion of your sports or of the movements of your particular fighting style, if you're in martial arts, or whatever physical discipline you're dedicated to. When you're doing double clubbells in the armpit cast, clean them to order. When you bring them behind, ensure that you're straddling your head and not going to hit any part of your head. Keep your elbows in, maximally tense, and cast them forward. Bring them to order. Notice that this is a balancing act. There's no such thing as a perfect cast. It's always going to be determining where the center of gravity is to stop it on a dime. The more that you crush grip it, the easier it's going to be for you. The protocol should be tight, loose, tight, so that you can catch it appropriately. To compound this, take the double armpit cast and clean it and make it one continuous motion. So the clean and armpit cast looks like this. The next variation is an advanced exercise. I don't advise it for any of you beginning clubbell swingers. When you approach the clubbells, you're going to bring them to order and put one behind you in armpit casting position. You will alternate from here. The popular name for this exercise is drumming. Keep your elbows pinched as you perform the exercise. Any of you involved in any form of martial art, any racket sport, any throwing sport, the power generation is here waiting for you. Grab your club bells and get to work. The shoulder cast is much like the action of unsheathing a sword. It's close to the biomechanics of the armpit swing, but with the elbow outwards. The ancient Persian strongmen would do this exercises in excess of 100 repetitions. When you're doing the shoulder cast, clean to order, park it on your shoulder, rotate your elbow outwards. Now, once again, you're bringing it to a parked position, but laterally. So this is an order position, like in front, but to the side. When you're coming behind, make sure that there's not too much play and you're overextending. Your elbow should be pointed outwards and no further than directly aligned with your spine. Do not overextend your shoulder. Keep your shoulder down and your elbow pointed no more than towards the ceiling. Then park them. The next exercise is a shoulder cast simultaneously with two club bells, popularly known as an iron cross. Do this exercise at your own risk. If you're not an advanced club bell swinger, don't even pick up two. One of the precautions I'm going to give you is that you have to monitor that your club bells don't bang into each other. Occasionally it happens, but try and minimize it by taking full control of the spatial arrangement of your club bells. So first, clean them to order, shoulder park them, let them drift behind, point your elbows outwards, lock your pelvis, squeeze your glutes, contract your abdominal wall, tighten your core, exhale. Then park them. The next exercise, the head cast, also known as the Romali, is very popular among gymnasts, acrobats, jugglers, but interestingly enough, very popular among basketball players. In a moment you'll see why. Starting with the single club bell. Clean. This time, shoulder park it. Lift your elbow like you would be doing an arm cast. This time, you're going to cast it directly upwards into a leverage lift. If you're feeling particularly burly, do your tip up at the end into a torch press. So when you do the head cast, clean, order, shoulder park, behind. If you want to make this devastating, fight it all the way down. You're going to be working on your eccentric strength. It's called a yielding head cast because of the fact that you start upwards and fight it the whole way down. I would only include this at the end of a workout, or 2 to 4 repetitions at a time. Moving on to double clubbells. Once again, this is an advanced exercise, so beginning clubbell swingers, beware, stand clear, because here you be dragons. When you're working with this exercise, make sure that your head is clear of any swing. Clean it, bring it right back into the Romali. And continue until your last rep before failure, then fall on the ground, waiting for hours of rest. If you want world-class grip strength and be able to pinch grip a battleship, the shield cast is for you. It's a gruesome exercise because of the fact that it has a full torque of range of motion. Begin by cleaning to order. Now the first part of the motion brings the clubbell overhead, parallel to the plane of the earth. It continues through from left shoulder to right shoulder, swings through the opposite parallel motion, and ends back in order. But this time, when you catch it in your center line before bringing it in again, back into position with your elbow pinched. The shield cast. Make sure that you're gripping into the earth and you lift the clubbell above your head, clean beyond your shoulder blades, so that there are no injuries and you're able to develop pulverizing power with your hands. The parry cast is a coordination and dynamic flexibility exercise that has a lower strength value compared to the prior exercises. So you want to practice this early in your clubbell routine, your clubbell session. Make sure that you go through slowly and smoothly. If at any time you have any type of injuries, you do not want to attempt any coordination or flexibility exercise, especially the parry cast. It's divided into 2 parts. From a park position, you're going to attempt to keep the clubbell as perpendicular to the ground as possible. You lift your elbow, bring it around your shoulder, back into the beginning of the arm cast or the head cast position. The second half of the parry cast is to move your elbow inside and rotate around to park it. So your first half brings it into play, ready for a different cast or the same cast. The second half parks it or makes it a hanging version for any future exercises. The reverse parry begins by curling underneath and bringing the elbow into position just like before. Once again, if you have any type of pre-existing condition, don't attempt this exercise. This is a skill exercise. Keep your wrist straight. We're back into the first half. ready to cast. The second half of the reverse parry brings it back into the park position. So if you were to do the full parry, the reverse parry in full and park it. With any type of coordination exercise, put it at the beginning of your program, because as you continue, your grip strength will diminish. You want any coordination exercise to be prior, so put all technically challenging exercises at the beginning. This includes new exercises. Combination routines are the protocol of taking the basic exercises and putting them together seamlessly. These are for the advanced Clubbell swingers. The Iranian tradition calls them palavan, those who are strongmen of club swinging tradition. Before you become a palavan, you better make sure you have all of the basic exercises together. What I'm about to demonstrate are a series of some of the more famous historical combination routines. Now you can take one of these combination routines and program it. In the Olympic Clubbell swinging book, you will find how to design and create your own program. When you're taking a routine, you can use that through your program design, or you can take a basic exercise and program it. So don't think that you can only use combination routines. Combination routines are for increased coordination, agility, mind-body connection, and just all-out doggedness. This is your opportunity to take your knowledge, your basic skills, and combine them so that you have a more fluid, dynamic environment for Clubbell swinging. Inappropriate usage of the club bells may result in property damage, injury, and death. Please use and follow the instructions explicitly in this video program as well as the Olympic Club Bell Swinging book. The exercises that you've seen depicted in this program and in the Olympic Club Bell Swinging book are designed for club bells alone. Not for Thor's hammer, not for Weaver sticks, not for fulcrum bars, not for sledgehammers. Those are unacceptable substitutes for the club bell. Only the club bell is designed to maximize your abilities to enhance your performance as well as prevent any injuries and or subsequent slippage of the equipment. Please do not use a substitute for these exercises. We do not endorse it. When you are devising your program, make sure that you progress safely and fluidly through all of the basic drills. Go to the Olympic Club Bell Swinging book so that you can devise your own program. Make sure it's periodized appropriately to whatever your particular sport or discipline there is in life. And make sure that you come back for future programs and future club bell swinging events.